So I recently saw The Curse of LaLlorona. That came out earlier this year also. And this is part of the Conjuring universe, loosely. And it's average. So this movie is about a supernatural being that goes around and hunts children. And kills them, actually. And it's okay. I've heard a lot of reviews saying this movie was horrible. This movie was the worst movie ever. Like how every reviewer says, "Oh, this movie's garbage," and I don't think it's completely garbage. I don't think it's that good either. It's not memorable at all. You have actors that are actually pretty good. You have Linda Cardellini, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. She plays Anna. I've seen her in a lot of different movies and TV shows, and she's actually a good actress, and she does a good job here with what she's given. As Ramon Cruz, who plays Rafael Olvera, he's good also. I've seen him in a lot of different projects also. Same with Patricia Velasquez. She plays Patricia Alvarez, and I'll explain all of this in a little bit. I'm just going over the actors in this. So those are the ones that I know. Also, Sean Patrick Thomas, who plays Detective Cooper. He's been in a lot of different projects as well, mostly like low budget movies, mostly what they call quote unquote black movies. He's been in. Everyone else, I'm not familiar with what they've been in. I've never really seen their faces before. And so the story is Linda Cardinelli is a social worker, and she's investigating Patricia Velasquez, or Patricia Alvarez, in this movie. And Patricia Alvarez has locked her kids in a room. And, they investigate and they feel that that's child abuse, obviously. So they're removing her kids from her custody. And she's like, no, you shouldn't remove the kids from the custody because then LaLlorona is going to come and get them. As all these movies go, they say that the people think they're crazy, and then something happens to said person, and then everyone's like, oh, well, maybe this is actually true. Same thing here. They remove the kids die. Linda Cardinelli says, okay, well, that's really weird that the kids would have died. And the LaLlorona spirit starts going after her children. So she has a daughter and a son, and it starts to attack. Well, it attaches itself to it goes after the son first, and then from there, it starts to go after the daughter. And the movie is mostly set in their house, and, they're trying to fend off the spirit. And Ramon Cruz, who plays Rafael Olvera, is a ex-priest who is trying to help her and her kids not be killed by this entity. And from there, that's pretty much the movie. Most like I said, most of it is shot it's very dark, actually. It's a very dark movie. You can't really see a lot of the shots. You can't really see a lot of what's going on in the movie. At least I couldn't. The story itself is very straightforward. Really, no twists. The LaLlorona is, basic evil spirit. Nothing really. I wouldn't say there's anything really cool about her. Nothing really intimidating. Nothing that kind of stands out and makes her different than, any other entity, I guess, or spiritual being or whatever. So, I don't want to spoil the whole movie, but in all honesty, that's what I said before about the plot of, them trying to, Anna is trying to prevent her kids from being killed by this entity, and literally the whole movie is just that. They give the LaLlorona a little bit of a backstory, which is decent. They don't really go they go a little bit into her backstory, not really in depth. The acting itself is okay. No one's, I don't think anyone was horrible in this. I think actually everyone did a pretty good job of what they were given. The plot itself, very straightforward, like I said before. It's shot it's very dark. You can't really see a lot of things. The sound effects are okay. I mean, it's kind of like every Conjuring movie where you hear creaky noises. So, when you hear creaky noises and jump scares, that's kind of like the formula now, unfortunately, for a lot of horror movies. You hear creaky noises and then it's followed by a jump scare. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. In this movie, it didn't land for me. I kind of knew exactly what was going to happen after the creaky noises, and it didn't really scare me or frighten me, or sometimes it's not even frightening. Sometimes the jump scare comes, you just get surprised, and it didn't do anything for me in this movie at all. None of the jump scares worked. The thing about the Conjuring universe is that I actually do like the first two Conjuring movies. Didn't particularly like The Nun. Even though The Nun was built up to be this really scary horror movie, when I saw it, I wasn't impressed. There were some cool elements in the movie, but I could have done without it. I'll put it that way. Annabelle is also part of this universe, and I actually really liked Annabelle. What is it? Creation? I thought Annabelle Creation was very good, and I also thought Annabelle Comes Home is actually pretty good also. It's a lot better than, those two movies are a lot better than this one. So if you're into the Conjuring universe and you're like, oh, what Conjuring universe movie should I see next? Go see one of those instead of this one. Because this one's very forgettable. And I think that's the thing about most horror movies these days. They're very forgettable. Like, nothing in this movie really stood out to me. It's very generic, very by the books, very, you kind of know what you're getting, Nothing no twists, nothing stood out to me, So, I mean, those are my thoughts on this movie. Like I said, maybe you'll enjoy it. I didn't think it, like I said, I didn't think it was horrible, but there's nothing really about this movie which would make me want to see it again. And yeah, that's it for me. And thanks again for listening.